Hello, Inform Scotland followers and friends. It's lovely to be speaking to you again today. We have had a number of interesting things happening, well, moderately interesting at least, with Inform Scotland. Yesterday we sent out a huge letter, which will be going on the website very soon, to everybody from the First Minister, the Prime Minister, the Deputy First Minister, the General Medical Council and everyone in between, about the vaccine information leaflets which are currently circulating in Scotland just now. So we are very concerned about this leaflet because we feel that people are not able to give informed consent on the basis of the information that's in this leaflet. So please have a look. That'll probably be going on the website, I think, tomorrow. I just want to make sure that it's gone out. It's gone out by mail to 18 people, or 18 names, and we will be emailing it to all the MSPs, all the MPs, and all the papers and news channels that we can think of. So that is quite exciting. It's also quite frightening. Felt quite nervous about it, and please look out for it online. We also, Christine Padgham, also had a bit of a triumph with YouTube today, because YouTube had taken down my video of my speech that I made at the May Day gathering at Holyrood on the 1st of May, and they said that they'd taken it down on the basis of misinformation. So obviously I don't misinform. That's not my job at all. So I appealed, and I actually ended up in a bit of an email exchange with somebody from YouTube, and I asked them please to outline any errors or items of misinformation in my speech, and they couldn't find any. So my video has been reinstated. So please go and have a look at that. It might be quite far down the channel. It was the first video that I posted, so it's called May Day Gathering Speech. So that's really great news. The other notable piece of great news that is even better news that I have put into today's update on the website, which you'll be able to find on the website under Daily Graphs. I've updated the stats for 20th and 21st of May. The ONS Prevalence Survey has updated its stats, and it is saying that now the prevalence in Scotland is 1 in 1960. That's prevalence for infection in the community with SARS-CoV-2. So that is absolutely brilliant news. Last week it was, or the previous week it was 1 in 1,250. The week before that it was 1 in 760. So it is really dropping off a cliff, which is exactly what we would expect for this season. So that is absolutely fantastic news. So that's the cover image on today's update. You can see just how low the prevalence has become. In the mid to late January, it was up at 0.9%. So that's still under 1%. Anyway, we were at 0.9%, and now we're down at 0.05. The WHO threshold for an epidemic, as far as I'm aware, is 5%. So we're currently at 0.05%. Areas of concern that we've had recently have been Grampian, which contains Murray, and Inverurie. There's been a lot of talk of a surge there. But in the last 2 days, we've had 10 cases and 8 cases in the whole of Grampian, respectively. We've also got some concerns now about Glasgow, and obviously poor Glasgow's been kept in level 3. The cases in the last 2 days have been 218 and 212, respectively. Now, that's totally out of context, just giving you those two numbers. It all depends on how many tests have been conducted, but still across Scotland, despite the fact that we have seen a pretty limited rise in cases over the last, well, really since early May, we've been seeing a rise in cases, but we've also been seeing a rise in tests. And cases is a funny word because it just basically now means a positive test. Positivity has gone up from like 1% to 1.5% in that time. So that's, of all the tests that we do, 1.5% are coming back positive. And I think that level is pretty flat just now. I've said graph 3 shows the newly tested individuals, and I do find this really depressing. We have had quite a significant rise in newly tested individuals. Now, this indicates that we've got lots of asymptomatic testing going on. Lots of people are tested over and over and over again, but we've obviously got lots and lots of repeat tests happening. Lots of new people coming forward for tests. This is not great news for getting the numbers of positive cases or positive tests down, which is the stick that we're being beaten with, frankly. It does not matter if you're testing positive for COVID, if you're asymptomatic, but we know that people who are asymptomatic are an absolutely negligible infection risk. And if you're not sick, you're not going to end up in hospital. So frankly, why the state is worrying about that in any way is beyond me. I'm sorry, I just don't understand. I don't understand why we care. I might be hosting all sorts of viruses just now, so might you be, but I don't have any symptoms and nobody cares. So why we are so fixated on symptomless SARS-CoV-2 infections is truly beyond my understanding. So I've put in a graph. There's really no news here. In graph 4, we're seeing hospital occupancies on the floor. Deaths are at 0. Actually, delayed discharges have risen a little bit in the last wee while, but we're talking about very few COVID patients compared even to delayed discharges. Delayed discharges are people who are in hospital with no clinical reason to be there. I've put in the Greater Glasgow and Clyde trace. You can see that there has been a sudden linear rise really since the second week in May. However, in fact, the first week of May, sorry. But we've been seeing more testing in that time. I'm not quite clear how many tests have been done in Greater Glasgow and Clyde. Looking at hospitalisations, there has been a bit of a rise in hospital patients. We know that a lot of COVID transmission happens in hospital. So it might be that there's a bit of that going on, but there has been a rise since mid-May in the number of people in hospital, but that's levelling off again and coming back down. You can see that in graph 6 on the update. Lanarkshire is flat, Grampian is falling, and Lothian is falling or flat. Other than those 4 regions that I've just mentioned, Greater Glasgow and Clyde, Lanarkshire, Grampian, Lothian, all regions have fewer than 5 patients in hospital. Graph 7 and 8 show vaccinations. Now, vaccinations are quite interesting. Obviously, first doses happen before second doses, but we're now finding that second doses are catching up with first doses, so the gap between them is climbing. That indicates that for whatever reason, people are receiving their second doses, but they're not maybe coming forward for first doses in quite the same numbers, or maybe it's not available, I'm not sure. And second doses have been fluctuating a bit. They were falling and then they've come up a bit, but they seem to have gone down the last couple of days. And first doses are bumping along much slower now. And then the last graph I've shown is ONS prevalence, which, as I've said, is way down. I've put my last statement: this situation is absurd. Truly, it is absurd. Why people are being kept in level 3 restrictions anywhere in the country, I cannot understand. We are coming out of this epidemic. Hospitalisations are steady, they're on the floor. If people aren't getting sick, I don't know why we're worrying. I really, really don't. I don't understand it. Please keep an eye out for the update. I think I'll put the letter up tomorrow once I've worked out. I've got an awful lot of people to email, so I'm just trying to work out who they all are. I'm sending this email off at one time with a letter about the vaccine information leaflet. Please do go and look at our comments on the vaccine information leaflet. So I'll be updating it. There's already an article on the front page, but I'll be updating it tomorrow. The reason that I want you to have a look at it is not because I don't want you to get your vaccines. I know that there are some people out there who've been accusing me of that, and us as a group, that is absolutely not correct. If you are informed and you're giving fully informed consent, and you've decided that you want to get your vaccine because you think your risk of COVID is greater than your risk of the vaccine, and you want to protect yourself and you want to protect those closest to you, fantastic. Go and get your vaccine. But you must make sure that you are giving informed consent. It is so important, the principle of informed consent for any medical treatment. And I think I can speak for the whole group of Informed Scotland. We can say that we are deeply, deeply concerned about the precedent of people being coerced into getting vaccines. And when I say coerced, I don't just mean, like a gun being pointed at your head and told to go and get your vaccine. I'm talking pressure on you so that you can regain your social interactions, or being told that you might not be able to go to concerts if you don't have a vaccine. This is all absolutely unacceptable. The only reason to have a vaccine is for your own health and for possibly the health of those closest to you, and I'm meaning people that you share a house with. Other than that, a vaccination, any medical treatment, is a personal choice, and it is very important that we retain that principle in Scotland, and I will not let this fight go. I am fully vaccinated myself. I have never turned down a vaccine, apart from my flu vaccine last year, and that was after I'd spoken to a respiratory consultant who advised me against it. But otherwise, I have always taken every vaccine that's been offered. My children have never missed a single vaccine. I'm very pro-vaccine, and I want to retain the principle of safe vaccinations and fully informed consent. I'm very passionate about it, and I will not apologise for it. You know I love you because I tell you at the end of all of these videos. I've had a lovely day today, and I really hope that you have as well. Stay sane, stay strong, stay tuned. I love you.